A classic steel LeMond Zurich road bike. Oh, this is a big boy. Look at that head tube. Yeah, is this, this is a little rough. Yeah, we had a little bit of paint chippage, some very dirty drivetrain. Is this a diamond or is this a mistake? Well, we'll go over the details on this after this. Welcome to I Know a Guy Bicycles.
Welcome to I Know a Guy Bicycles, hanging out with the guy. Hi, I'm Justin, the guy. Obviously, I have a garage shop. Taking scary out of used bikes, one bike at a time.
If you like these videos, please like and subscribe. Well, you know, I'm very fond of steel bikes, and I do find quite a few of them to refurbish. And LeMonds are definitely one of my go-tos because I was working in shops when these were new and I actually got to play with them. Plus, you know, I have a couple of LeMonds myself, so selfishly, I actually know the brand a little bit better, especially in this vintage. And in addition to, that's what I currently ride. That being said, I do look for these. And sometimes I buy a few that are a little rougher than I probably should, but at the end of the day, I still try to bring a good solid bike back to the market, revive some of these old guys to new life, and you know, provide a good solid road bike for somebody just getting into road riding, regardless of the size. So I just buy them as the model, specifically not really thinking about sizes. But anywho, so looking at this guy, yeah, it has some pretty good chip paint. So I'm gonna have to inspect that quite a bit. Not too concerned as long as there's no dings or bends in it. Due to the fact is it's steel, it's, you know, holds up a little better. The paint flakage on the fork, I'm not really too concerned about that. It's just one of those things where that particular paint job peeled away when they had super sticky for their bike computer. The drivetrain definitely needs to be clean and inspected. The brakes actually have pretty much material still on them, but also another intriguing factor on this guy is a Rolf Vector comp. Rolf wheels where Rolf was purchased by Trek or merged or contracted, whatever the history says in the history books. But in a sense, in the mid-90s, they were acquired. And then Bontrager carried on the paired spokes system. But these were the original paired spokes back, I think they were up in Michigan or Minnesota. Anyway, it was based off of the idea of keeping the oscillation down on trainer bikes when they're doing trainer races on those rollers. So, did it work? Did it not? I was really not bear witness of it. In Colorado, we don't do a lot of trainer stuff here, just to get out a day or two. But other than that, we have another sunny day around the corner in the winter to go ride. So as long as you have the right gear. This guy, nice steel frame. You got the Reynolds 853, which is your upper end chromoly tubing. Also, these were under the Trek umbrella, so they were built in the United States. It has the LeMond carbon fork, which is basically the Trek OCLV carbon. And it has full Ultegra componentry throughout, excluding the wheels, of course, and the shifters. Oh, yeah, they're losing their little nameplates where I have some made up here that I paint pretty sparkles and give a little more bling to the bike. Yeah, I had them 3D printed. Had them scanned, an old one that was actually close. They're pretty close and they work fairly well. It sure beats the ugliness of nothing, and quite honestly, they don't have a function, but you'll find them new in the package for like 80 bucks on eBay. So yeah, I got those made for half or a tenth of the cost. So yeah, I'm gonna go through this bike, and reason being is I'm kind of reviewing this one is it's classic steel, but it was kind of like sight unseen when I purchased it. It was kind of just dropped off after purchasing. But even though I had history with this bike, I know the componentry and the wheels, so what I paid for it. If I do get in a pinch, I can definitely kind of get out underneath it. But that is me. I want to say individuals out there, look for gyms like this and go pay for it. What this is going to cost you? That's going to be the question if you're either going to do it yourself or a bike shop. I would say at least if you're going to do it yourself, you're going to have some bits, cables, and housing. Definitely needs to be replaced. It's the gray stuff which cracks, and also the parts of the drivetrain may need to be inspected as well. So you're probably looking at least 100, 150, maybe 200 in parts. But other than that, the tires are new on this guy, so that's a win. A bar tape looks, still fairly intact. I don't personally like this pleather look. Personally, I like the feel of the soft foam, but that's more of a traditionalist look kind of thing. I don't know if I'll keep it. In addition to, the frame needs to be inspected, cleaned, and detailed as best as I can. You're not going to be able to cover all that up. But that being said, if you're going to take it to a shop, you're looking at the same cost on parts per se, but you're going to at least look at mid-grade tune-up. That includes some drivetrain bits and cables and housing to replace. That's going to be upwards of towards 200 to 250. So if you would have bought this yourself, honestly, you about almost doubled the cost of what you probably went for buying it. So buyer beware. This is definitely an older model tube, because it has a 1-inch headset with a quill. I'm going to put a conversion piece on here so you can use their standard A headsets. So the next person can have those adjustments to that. It's not classic enough in the sense to keep this stem. It's just your standard, I would say, is like a profile design stem, which used to have a billion of them to switch out. But anywho, that just kind of updates that system so you can for fitting, basically. Saddle, a little rough. I might find a newer one or nicer design one. That'd be something for the person that is purchasing this would have to pay for anyway. The cable routing is incorrect anyway also, but I'm going to replace all these guys as such forth. So that being said, pardon the interruption, there is more. More, you say? Push the more button. Push it. Push it. I dare you to push it. Once you push that button, you get more details about the video you are watching, in addition to all the tools that I use in the shop, as well as suggestion for improving your ride. In addition to help me provide advocacy in the cycling community, also links to other social media accounts as well as my website to find the products I actually sell and other insights in the industry. Other videos linked below. Extend your cycling experience here on YouTube. And now back to your original programming. Looking at a few of these guys back in the day. Oh yeah, here's one tidbit right off the bat, is the skewer is not the original Rolf skewer, it's a trainer skewer. So this bike got moved indoors to be a trainer, which is pretty decent. And I'll have to double check that hub. It feels kind of knocky. We'll see. Maybe I can adjust that out. These do have sealed bearings, which is kind of cool. That means they'll last a lot longer. And a lot of the ones I've dealt with before seem to be in okay shape. I have to check that fork blade, make sure it is clear. In addition to, well, that one's feeling really smooth, but that one does have the traditional Rolf spoke on that guy, or skewer. And yeah, looking at the brake pads here, look pretty good and so forth. So yeah, let's just tear down the parts and see which we got, and go from there. And hopefully the shifters are intact, because these little boogers used in the aftermarket can kind of run you about $100. So that's something you want to be mindful of when you look at this componentry. And is that notching? No, I think we're good. Let's do some cleaning. Check it out. Alrighty, well, we're going to be switching out the bars and stems, as we mentioned, with that conversion kit. The brakes actually turned out really well. The shifters are actually going to be fine, as well as the derailleurs is cleaned up. There's my adapter there with a new stem, which I'm going to do the 31.8 bar, so a little bit wider with the Ritchie on that guy. And gonna need a new bottom bracket, because the old bottom bracket is grinding. Whoa, it was a bear to get out. A lot of rust. Cassette did clean up. Crankset did clean up well. I'll be replacing the chain. There's the new chain. And whoa, what happened here? Well, the headset was kind of grindy. He had loose ball bearings on the top and a cage on the bottom, which is fine because you remove the cage portion and put loose bearings, but what they had was one missing bearing. So we're going to repack that and see if we can get back to life. If not, we'll have to replace the headset as well, but good thing I have those. The fork, it cleaned up, but it still has some pretty good chips to it. Other than that, it's still functionally fine. The wheels turned out immaculate, so I can't say anything about that. They drew really well. The hubs were fine, and it has new tires. So, and to the frame. Well, considering how many scratches and dings they had on it, or not dings, scratches and just scuffs, and no dings were found or cracks, so the frame actually turned out really well considering, and cleaned up where the paint was still intact really quite nicely, and even the head badge came out quite wonderful. But anywho, let's recap. Whoa, it's alive! Yes, we resurrected this LeMond Zurich from the ashes, like Frankenstein himself, the pieces and parts. Actually not too bad, but there is a pretty big lift on this one. Well, let's dive into like the bottom bracket. This is all grindy, so I had to put a new one of those. Old school one inch quill was converted to, this is what it looks like. When it's converted, you have that adapter, then you can use any A headset, and then I upgraded to the new more modern 31/8 bars. So those bits can be adjusted and have readily available parts for those who the next rider can adjust those. So yeah, bottom bracket needed to be done. Skewers need to be replaced, that was another thing. Chain was rusty and old, so that was done. Brakes were actually good. Cleaned out the bottom bracket, and also that headset. Yeah, I remember those little ball bearings? Well, it's nice and smooth now, no crunchy there. And the shifters did come back to life. I'll be putting on the guys' magic caps, which is these guys here. These little covers from OEM from Shimano. They look similar to this guy. These guys just break. I mean, you look at them, they fall apart. It has no function, right? It's just more aesthetics for prettiness. So I had a 3D printed or scanned and 3D printed these, and then I use a higher grade of plastic, what I've seen there online, and I put a little sparkle with a good clear coat on there, so they're very UV protective. They fit pretty good. I'll probably go do another iteration or one or two before I actually put them for resale. I might just put them for resale anyway for those it's a cap. And if it busts off, it's not going to be too expensive to replace. And if I get enough, whatever, I'll pay for another some $100 to a couple $100 to have somebody redo it. But anyway, those are going to be going on. But hey, this bike is going to be one solid, awesome steel ride for somebody that's pretty tall, because how LeMonds measure out, it's center to center. And this guy center to center, it's like 61. Wow. And also looking at the top tube center to center, it's 60 centimeters. So that's a pretty tall. Once I do like the, what was it called? The reach and the stack on it, it's probably going to be like a 62 centimeter-ish, which is going to fit somebody that's like 6'1" to 6'4"-ish, somewhere around there. I'll have those specs when I actually list it. But hey, this thing is going to be awesome. It has Ultegra on it with Rolf Vector comp wheels, which are solid. New rubber on there, a new chain. It's going to be strung up with new cables and housing and new bar tape. This thing's going to fly. So after it flies and it's all ready to go with all its magic, check out these awesome pictures of the final result. Yeah, still a couple scratches on it, but hey, if you look past that, lets the devil's out, as my mom would say, it'll be one solid ride for some individual, maybe for you. Check these out. Here is a classic steel LeMond, blah.